Dude, you hear about those new longevity genes?
No. Who makes them?
No, dude, you don't make these genes. They're already there. You just turn them on.
You mean put them on?
Not exactly. How do I say this? You express them.
Fashion just keeps getting weirder and weirder.
Fashion? What? Yo, what is up? Welcome back to another week of How to Health. My name is Kevin. I run liftandbalance.com, where we take aim at all things health and do it in an odd, weird, interesting, and highly sarcastic manner. Today, we are getting cellular and talking about how we can turn on some longevity boosting genes and channel that internal fountain of youth, you know? I think I figured it out. Production team, you listening here? We were never able to find the fountain of youth because it's been inside us the whole time. Just make sure you fully submerge yourself because we don't need this happening again. We are talking about a series of genes that have been associated with an exceptionally long lifespan in humans, the FOXO family, and specifically the FOXO3 transcription factor. So first, we'll cover why they're important, go over their association with longevity, then hit on some new research that shows how these genes may work their magic. And finally, the most important part, how we can turn these suckers on. Because I know you guys all remember from this video here that how our genes are expressed, otherwise known as our epigenetics, is often many times more important than the genes themselves. And that happens to be in our control. We love things in our control. Right, production team? No, I'm not in your control. All right, I got one more thing before we get started. I have a quick question for you.
What does the fox say?
Get it? Fox. FOXO3. I apologize for that. All right, let's boogie. What is FOXO3? In non-abbreviated terms, it is called fork head box protein 03. It resides in the O class of FOX proteins, which also include FOXO1, FOXO4, and FOXO6, that play a key role in the regulation of cellular replication and senescence, resistance to oxidative stress, our metabolism, and one of our most critical functions as humans, the organism, DNA repair. The FOXO family of proteins have also shown a strong relationship with tumor suppression and longevity in general, the latter of which we'll talk about shortly. But first, how does this family work its magic? A little background. The FOXO family is thought to be regulated by the insulin PI3K AKT signaling pathway, which is initiated by food intake. Essentially, when we eat, the FOXO family becomes suppressed. More on that later. Now, when the family's activated, they act as sensors that are very responsive to different environmental conditions within the cell, like stress. You know, but like at the cellular level. And when they receive these signals, they react by stimulating change in the genetic expression that modulates the organism's health and longevity. And let me just say, it never ceases to amaze me how much is going on in here. When we're just Netflixing, chilling, having the production team do our laundry, I mean, crazy. So you may be thinking, that's cool, but how does it actually impact my cellular longevity over the course of my lifespan? Let's talk about it. Its association with longevity. Our longevity, as you guys know from all the other videos we covered on this channel, is impacted and influenced by both environmental and genetic factors. And that genetic part is actually thought to increase in importance as we get older and older, suggesting that people who live extraordinary long lives may be carrying so-called protective genes. One of those genes, if you haven't guessed already, is thought to be a FOXO variant. So how exactly does it provide this longevity boost? Well, the FOXO family of proteins have shown to have the ability to shuttle between different locations in the cell. And while doing so, they modify expressions of critical genes. These genes ultimately regulate processes like cell cycle arrest, or stopping harmful cells from multiplying; apoptosis, which is our protective programmed cell death; autophagy, we talk about autophagy a lot, our internal cellular recycling program. As we touched on before, it also impacts tumor suppression in a good way. And they help regulate energy balance and appetite. All pretty big longevity influencers, if you ask me. Here's a little practical example. Under conditions of cellular stress, FOXO mediates the stoppage of the cell cycle, or cell cycle arrest, to allow time for repair of DNA damage and cellular detoxification. So this new family on the block should not be overlooked. And this new research further validates that point. The data. Okay, first, a little background. Previous research has shown that mice who lack the FOXO gene in their brain are unable to cope with stressful situations in said brain, which leads to the progressive death of brain cells. Not cool, I know. So that same group just came out with new research published in January 2021's Nature Communications, showing that FOXO3 preserves the brain's ability to regenerate by preventing the stem cells from dividing until the environment will support the new cell's survival. In other words, it provides the signal for the right time to divide. And this is super cool. Why? Because, as we know, stem cells produce new brain cells, which is essential for things such as learning and memory through our adult life. And if stem cells divide without control, they often get depleted and wasted. This new research here shows that the FOXO3 gene appears to do its job by stopping the stem cell from dividing until the stressful situation has passed. But stress? What type of stress? How about biopublic enemy number one? Inflammation. We all know by now that excess or chronic inflammation is bad for biological business, especially in the brain, which we cover here. So this group of researchers looked specifically to see what happens to brain stem cells when exposed to oxidative stress, which occurs when harmful types of oxygen build up in the body. And the results were pretty interesting. They found that the FOXO3 protein is directly modified by oxidative stress. This stress sends the protein into the nucleus of the cell where it activates stress response genes. And this migration and activation in the stem cell ultimately triggers an immune response that causes the stem cell to go dormant and stop producing new neurons. Now, you may think that's bad, but it's not. This response is actually very good for the stem cells because the external environment is not ideal for newly born stem cells to prosper. Why is this? Because the likelihood of a new stem cell to survive in a stressful environment is low. So this pause is actually advantageous for the stem cells so they can wait for that stressful situation to pass. And all this begins to shed light on why certain variants of FOXO3 are linked to extraordinary long and healthy lives. Because there's a good chance they help people keep a strong and healthy reserve of brain stem cells. And this also may help explain why regular exercise, which boosts FOXO3, may help preserve mental sharpness. Now, the authors here bring up a good caution, because this feature could act as a double-edged sword. Overactivating FOXO3 could actually be a little harmful. Think about it. The constant suppression of stem cells means no new brain neurons, which we don't want either. Just like anything else, it's a game of balance. And more research is definitely needed. But as that's being done, what can we do here and now to upregulate this family of longevity genes? What you can do. There are a few lifestyle interventions to date that research suggests can upregulate the prevalence of this FOXO family of proteins. As we talked about earlier, one of the main regulators of this pathway is food, or strategic windows where there isn't any. High protein intake is the most potent nutritional regulator of the aforementioned IGF pathway, and IGF-1 inhibits the actions of FOXO3. The research suggests that FOXO3 can actually be activated by both caloric restriction and intermittent fasting. adding on another reason why a strategic fasting protocol is probably a good idea. Phytochemicals found in plants have also been linked to FOXO3 activation, specifically green tea and quercetin, which is found in onions and apples. In addition, lifestyle factors like exercise and other forms of heat stress, such as getting your sweat on in the sauna, have also been shown to activate FOXO3. And while doing all of that boosting, we want to try and nurture an internal environment that is free of one of the biggest longevity liabilities that plague modern humans: chronic inflammation. And if you're wondering how, I got you covered. Check out these series of inflammation fighting videos, all linked below. Listen, at this point, our genes are our genes, but healthy lifestyle habits are a totally different thing. Don't put all your longevity apples in one basket. This thing called life is all about controlling what we can control. So treat yourself like the most valuable asset that you are and start investing today. As always, let me know what comments, questions, any random thoughts you have down below. Who knew? This whole time, my fasted morning kettlebell torture was just me letting the fox out of the cage.
What does the fox say?